We've made it to day 14, and we are reading Job chapter 38 through Job chapter 39. But before we get into that, I want to thank you for joining us in this video. Thank you so much for being a part of the Bible reading program. And if you have not yet accepted the invitation, there's a link in the description box below that will take you directly to the YouVersion Bible app, and you can accept the invitation and join several people all across the country reading the Bible every single day, and with a goal of reading it by the end of the year. So you'll be blessed by all the feedback, all the conversation. You'll be able to share some of the insights and some of the things you're gaining from your reading. So we'd love for you to be a part of the program. And if you have not accepted the invitation, it's not too late. You can still join, and you will be able to complete the entire reading of the Bible by the end of the year. So today we're reading Job chapter 38 and chapter 39, and we have finally reached the point where God begins to speak. For 37 chapters, we have been listening to the dialogues. Well, really, maybe 35 chapters or so. But we have not heard from God since chapter 2. And from that point on, there has been a conversation about God, and he has been invited to participate, but he has not responded. And finally, in chapter 38, God comes into the conversation, and he begins to speak with Job. And the question that he asks is indicative of what the real issue has been in the conversation that Job and his friends have been having. It is a limitation of wisdom. And this is what he says in verse 2 of chapter 38. Who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorant words? This right here is going to set the tone for the entire conversation that God and Job has moving forward. Basically, what has happened is Job has spoken about things he knows nothing about. And he's going to admit this later on. But it just goes to show that in the moment, when we're in these very difficult times in our life, where we don't understand, we are frustrated, we're upset, we feel like we've been slighted in some way, it is in these moments where we often say the wrong thing or we speak with a limited understanding. And what I love about this text is that when God is brought to the carpet, per se, about what he has done in a person's life, he does not in any way resort to his power, which is oftentimes where we want to land. We often want to describe God's goodness based on his exercise of authority and power. But when God is brought into the conversation and he addresses the things that have been said, what he actually uses as a matter of defense, if you will, is not his power, not his omnipresence, but rather his omniscience, his ability to know things that we often are not privy to. And from that point, God begins to literally question Job nonstop. Now, here's the thing that is so good about this. We're reading a chronological reading plan. Just a few moments ago, or a few weeks ago, we were reading in the book of Genesis, and we were reading a story about how God created all things, or more importantly, how God brought order to disorder, how God brought functionality to chaos. And literally in chapter 38, when God begins to question Job, he begins to question Job about the organization of creation, the response of creation to his voice, and the response of creation to his constituted principles that govern the entire created order. In fact, one of the things I love about this passage was in chapter 38, verse 33, he asked Job, he says, do you know the laws of the universe? Can you use them to regulate the earth? Notice what he's saying. He's saying, listen, guy, I have put all of this together. I organized this. When you look out there and you see the stars in the sky, you see the animals running around, you see the waves bouncing back and forth. When you see all of that, that was me. I did that. So if I was able to do all of that, what are you doing questioning me about things that I've allowed in your life? When you look around in the world and you see everything that has been created and everything that has been organized, how dare you come to me and question me about anything I'm doing? Where's your wisdom? What is responding to your voice? This is what he's relying on. This is what he's falling back on, if you will, whenever he's speaking about why things have happened the way they have happened. And so when we think about this and we look at this, the appropriate response to why do bad things happen to good people, or just in general, why do bad things happen to people in general? Why is there suffering when they're supposedly a good God? Well, the response that God himself gives is simply this: I'm wise. I know more than you know. And if I allowed it, there is some sort of purpose for it. This is an incredible response. I think it's one we should often use when we're thinking through the traumas of our life, some of the difficult times of our life, some of the agonizing pains that we endure. Whether we think it's fair or not, we should always remember, this is the key thing: God knows something we don't know. And while it is, on the other side of the struggle, it is easy to say, well, God is all wise, and there's a plan to it. Let's just understand that in the moment, that is far more difficult to accept. But this is what's going on in this text, and this is what God speaks to Job. So we have a couple more chapters to go, where God will continue to talk to Job and explain to him who he is. And this will make God's reality more clear to Job as the conversation unfolds. But this was really good to me. This made the entire struggle of reading the book of Job this year a little bit more acceptable, if you will. It brought some understanding and some closure, if you will, to the whole dialogue that has been going on and the suffering that Job has experienced. But friends, here we are, day 14. You've made it 2 weeks, officially 2 weeks in the Bible reading program, and we have so much more to go. I hope you will join us on this journey. If you have not yet accepted, hit that invitation link in the description box. Accept it. Let's get plugged in. Let's continue to read, and let's grow by the Word of God. Until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. God bless, and live by the Word.